point. This is a fact and it's not speculation. It gets much, much deeper, but I'm just going to use the base level fact. At Trinity Church in Chicago, Reverend Wright's church, former church, Reverend Wright supported gay rights. Not just did he support gay rights, he actually supported. And in the 1990s, when all the other black ministers who were quote unquote black revolutionary ministers started supporting it, which was after the faith-based initiative money got put out there, where the U.S. government, the federal government decided they were going to pay black churches to promote homosexuality in the black community. It was after that time he really became a strong endorser of homosexuality. But it got to the point where they actually had a gay ministry, and I think they still have it. In other words, if you're single and you're at the church in Trinity, in the same church that Oprah Winfrey goes to, if you are a homosexual, you can meet single homosexuals through the church and go out and date and do whatever y'all going to do. I want you to listen to what I'm saying. That church that's presented as this black liberation theology is really, it's not just homosexual friendly. Listen to what I'm saying to you. They have a gay singles ministry where homosexuals can come and hook up through that ministry. This is a church now, brothers and sisters. So I'm making that point to make it clear that this is a known haven for homosexuality in Chicago. And for many people that don't know, many people think that San Francisco is the home of homosexuality in this country, and Atlanta, they think of it as the gay capital, the black gay capital of the world, really, the universe maybe. But what people don't know is that the real political homosexual backbone of the homosexual movement is in Chicago. Chicago is the place where they met to do the gay rights platform of 1973. Chicago is where a substantial amount of the hardcore, integral, base philosophy and strategies for pushing homosexuality and pedophilia come out of Chicago. So just so you have a basic background about that. So he comes out and speaks out against his own minister after that happens. But then on his way to the election in 2008, something very, very bizarre happens. And this is something I want you to understand. You don't have to believe it. I know it's going to be very vulgar. I'm going to play it. Please forgive the vulgarity of it. But I want to make this point because it's very important. I'm not going to tell you to believe it's true. It's not important if you believe it's true or not. This is the most important thing that I can say to you. This is a so-called black person that's running for president, so-called. And you're trying to get whites to support them. But then there's all these whites that don't want him to get it because he's so-called black. How in the world can someone go to the National Press Club and CNN, ABC, CBS, and every other major, all of the major networks were there covering this press conference? And the Republicans never used it to slander him. And this was in June 2008, which was only less than 6 months before the election. If this had come out and been put into the mainstream, it doesn't matter if it was true or not. It's so slanderous that it would have destroyed any chances of him winning. However, the media is so controlled by small hats that to protect their interests in bringing in Barack Hussein Obama, most of you have never ever heard this before. This is from the National Press Club. This is not somebody sitting at home in their basement doing a YouTube clip. This is the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., downtown, where most of the major political discussions and announcements are made throughout the world. I mean, in this country, I should say. National Press Club, brothers and sisters. Listen to this accusation by Larry Sinclair of who and what Barack Hussein Obama represents.
To Mr. Mutani, and I was introduced to Senator Obama by name. Later that evening in a bar, which I believe was called Alibis. And I state believe because I have failed so far to get Citigroup to provide the credit card receipts that has the actual name. I mentioned I could use a line or two to wake up. Senator Obama asked me if I was referring to Coke, and I stated I was. After stating I was, Obama stated he could purchase cocaine for me and then made a telephone call. This too is significant, from a cell phone to a presently unknown individual, during which Senator Obama arranged the cocaine purchase. Senator Obama and I then departed the bar in my limousine and proceeded to an unknown location where Senator Obama exited the limousine with $250, which was provided to him by me. returned a short while later with an 8-ball of cocaine, which he gave to me. I did ingest a couple of lines of cocaine, and shortly thereafter, Senator Obama produced a glass cylinder pipe and packet of crack cocaine from his pocket. Obama then smoked the crack cocaine. I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine, after which I had the driver take me to my hotel, the Comfort Suites, Gurnee, Illinois. The following day, November 7th, 1999, Senator Obama appeared at my hotel room, unannounced, uninvited, where we again ingested cocaine and I again performed fellatio on Senator Obama.
I apologize for the absolute filth and degeneracy of that comment. But again, I'm not asking you to believe it. What I'm asking you is something more critical. Critical thinking here. It's not about slandering him. He's the president. If you are running in an election against someone, and this is not a paid person that made this up, somebody independently goes out and does a press conference saying that this is their relationship with you. Is there any possibility, if you're running against this person and you're trying to win, which means you spent millions of dollars trying to compete with this person and this scandal comes out, that you would not make sure that it was public so that people knew that this accusation was being made, not because you think it's true, but because you intend to win the election? You never heard about this, brothers and sisters. And when you did, it was just in passing. And I was monitoring it when it was happening. I was going, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I watched the conference, which I couldn't believe when I saw. I was like, this can't be real. Then I watched the news, and I was watching, I think it was Handy and Combs at the time, and I was watching how they wouldn't even talk about it. Yeah, what do you think about the press conference today? Yeah, that was very interesting. I don't know if anybody will take it seriously. They never talked about what the allegations were or anything. I said, wow, this is real deep. This is Fox News, supposed to be anti-Obama, supposed to be against this whole liberalism and the culture wars and all this. Zero mention of the homosexual allegations, the crack smoking allegations, none of the allegations that were made, even though these are allegations someone else was making. They didn't even use it to create doubt in the minds of people. That tells you what you're dealing with. And he's supposed to be black, even if it ain't true. If they knew it wasn't true, if he was black, if somebody said they put it out there, just if it was really a black person. So these are things for us to keep in mind. Let's move on. In December 19th, 2008, this is from the Washington Post. It says, U.S. refuses to sign measure on decriminalization of gays. And basically what happens is there was an international push to have a declaration saying that basically that the world government, NATO, and other countries, the UN member, United Nations members, were going to enforce homosexuality throughout the world. And any country that was against homosexuality, they were basically going to go to war with on one level or another, whether it's economic sanctions, military, whatever it took to make them accept homosexuality. Of course, the African nations and the Arab nations were against it, but all the European nations, Australia, Mexico, Japan, these countries supported it. But it was the end of the Bush reign and the beginning of the Obama administration. The U.S. would not sign it. Why didn't they sign it in December 2008? Because George Bush was in office, and if he signed it, it would have been under his regime. They wanted to make sure, because the strongest countries against homosexuality in communities around the world are the black countries. In order for them to get the kind of movement they needed, they figured they would let somebody who was perceived and perpetrated as being black to make this announcement. So they didn't want to put it on George Bush, so the U.S. wouldn't sign it quite yet. They waited until Barack Obama came into office. So we go now to Tuesday, April 14th, 2009. Now he's in office. He gets in January 2009. Let's start talking about some of the things that Barack Obama does. The title of this article, U.S. appears set to boycott UN session on racism. Conference stance on Israel is at issue. Advocate groups criticize the White House. The Obama administration appears to be standing by its decision to boycott the World Conference Against Racism next week in Geneva, despite efforts to focus and tone down language in a draft conference document viewed as hostile towards Israel. The preliminary conference document ran 45 pages and called for reparations for slavery, condemned the validation of Islamophobia, and asserted that Israel's treatment of the Palestinians is grounded in racism. In response to objections raised by negotiators from the Obama administration, the document has since been dramatically shortened. It goes on to say that the two issues that he was upset about, or that they wouldn't go to this conference based on two issues. One was the Israel thing, and then the second one was that the world government, the worlds of the nations of the world had decided that black people in America should get reparations. And as long as reparations for black people were in this document and part of this discussion, the World Conference on Racism, Barack Hussein Obama said he would not allow the United States to participate and advocated for foreign governments not to participate. Let me go on in the article. For his administration not to be at this global conversation is a disappointment, said Imani Countess, Senior Director for Public Affairs at Trans-Africa Forum, an advocate group that focuses on U.S. foreign policy. For President Bush not to participate, that would have been expected. For Barack Obama's administration not to participate sends a disappointing signal. It says these issues are not important. The main issue for Trans-Africa, of course, is one of the main issues for black people, reparations. What people don't realize when black people say, hey, we'll never get reparations, they're not going to give it to us, and if they did, blah, blah, blah. The bottom line is what most of our people are not aware of. And I'm talking about Europeans, even whites around the world. The world has already decided that black people have to get reparations. However, the U.S. is basically giving the world the middle finger and telling the world no. And since black people are not aware of the international community's decision that we should get reparations, they can keep it from us. And now the U.S. can just go boycott and not even go to the conference. So under the Bush administration, they would go to the conference. However, they didn't agree with what was said at the conference. But this time under Barack Obama, they just said, heck, we're not even going to go. And there's no outcry from the larger black community because most black people don't know. And those that do are giving them a pass because they want hope. And they don't want to so-called destroy the black president. So that's important for you to know right there. What happened? So he's been in office. That's 4 months. January, February, March, April. In April, he boycotts the conference on racism because they want reparations for black people. And because they talk negatively about Israel and its bully tactics against the Palestinians. By June, 6 months now, actually 5 months because it was June 1st. This is on whitehouse.gov. You can go there now. You go to whitehouse.gov/the press office/presidential proclamation LGBT Pride Month. This is June 1st, 2009 for immediate release. Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Pride Month 2009. By the President of the United States of America, a proclamation. Here he goes. My administration has partnered with the LGBT community to advance a wide range of initiatives. At the international level, I have joined efforts at the United Nations to decriminalize homosexuality around the world. Here at home, I continue to support measures to bring the full spectrum of equal rights to LGBT Americans. So essentially, he's saying, we're going to make every country in the world accept homosexuality, one way or the other. Now, therefore, I, Barack Obama, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim June 2009 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Pride Month. Most black people don't know that, and during the same period of time, he was meeting with the LGBTs, promising them that everything that they were looking for, by the end of his administration, they would get every single thing that they wanted. And essentially, that's where most of this has gone. So